Hi Alisamen. Hello everyone, in this video I'll tell you everything about a very important Danish novel, Lykke-Per by the Nobel Prize winning Danish author Henrik Pontoppidan. Henrik Pontoppidan was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1917 for his realistic depiction of life in Denmark. The Danish writer and critic Morten Jensen called him the Danish Tolstoy. As a literary man, he didn't like to be boxed as a socialist or conservative. He was an individualist, as reflected in this novel. He also gave up a career in engineering to become a schoolteacher and later a writer, so the story somewhat reflects that. Lykke-Per was published from 1898 to 1904 in serial format in Danish and was translated to English by Paul Larkin in 2018 as A Fortunate Man, which is also the title of a Danish movie released in 2018. Paul was kind enough to send me a copy. In 2004, this novel became part of the Danish culture canon. There's also another translation in English by Naomi Leibowitz done in 2010. Summary. The main protagonist is a rebellious country boy called Per Sidenius. He abandoned his poor, religious, conservative family and heads to Copenhagen to become a civil engineer. He wants to be free from social constraint and history. If anything, he's a very ambitious man and has dreams of greatness. This is a very common theme in the novels of this period. But he's pragmatic, not dreaming to be an artist. His plan is to build a canal system to harness the power of water to transform Denmark's economy. When you think of Denmark, you might think of Lego, building cities. Per is a very Danish boy. Also, the Vikings used their skills on water to conquer the North Sea. He's pragmatist and he travels to Germany, Austria, Italy to learn about water management systems. He almost travels to America, so the whole world is his school. Intelligent as he is, Per is not a very nice person. He's ruthless, businesslike and often impulsive. As expected, not everything goes his way, but somehow he manages to stand up after every setback. Per thinks that you make your own luck. A wealthy Jewish woman, Lykke-Per Solomon, is also a prominent character as an independent, energetic woman who is a love interest for Per and has her own issues to deal with. If you don't want to hear spoilers, please mute the video for the next minute until the red curtain is lifted again. Per is on the cusp of realizing his dreams, but something stirs inside him. The realization that the more he achieves on the outside, the more empty he feels on the inside. Finally, he decides to return to the nest he had abandoned. He breaks up with his engagement with Lykke-Per and marries a country religious girl, much closer to his own upbringing. But he's not happy with her either, so moves away from her too. He becomes a recluse road inspector in the remote part of Denmark. His journey is complete: rejection of the old ways, realization, and then return. The moral of the story is, before you chase shiny things in life, what makes you happy at the end could be something you already have. Now, let me tell you some of the themes of this novel. 1. Society versus individualism. Per grew up in the second half of the 19th century when Darwin and Nietzsche questioned the existence of God. People could break with tradition to free themselves as whoever they wanted to be. As a smart man, he sees no other option but to change Denmark and the world. He feels the societal expectations on his shoulders. At the end, he realizes the social burden on him that makes him quite unhappy, and he's transformed into an ordinary person, without the burden of progress or greatness bestowed on him by society. You don't have to be great or follow the social or family expectations to have a fulfilling life. 2. Religion versus nationalism. Per is a product of religious worldview that you are either good or evil, one or the other. Principle, clarity, a very fixed worldview. Also, Socrates is whispering in his ears that he has to examine his life. But the world around him is becoming less religious and more nationalistic. Empires had more religious doctrine, but nations are more based on racial or biological kinship. This psychological shift created its own moral anxiety. The grand ambition to change the world had a national and racial energy at the heart of it. In Per's case, this deep sense of nationalism is based on Denmark's past glory. He left religion for nationalism but realized he wasn't mentally ready for that. Also, he couldn't go back to his religion either. Once you lose faith, it's hard to regain it. 3. Comfort versus conflict. This is intensified in Per as he sees two forces pulling him in different directions. His animalistic desire for comfort, simplicity, against his agonizing ambition to fight to forge a new Denmark. Per fails to reconcile the two. This is reflected in his choice between the two women. On the one hand, he's drawn to Lykke-Per, intelligent, grand, sophisticated world of Copenhagen that took him away from his comfort zone. While on the other hand, he's drawn to Inger, simple, innocent, and naive girl in the country, peace and tranquility. A fixed, rigid lifestyle in the country against volatile, fluid, dynamic life of the city. Per experiences both and found neither to his satisfaction. He withdraws from society completely. I guess once you see a different, dazzling world, it's hard to unsee it. Per wants to change the world, but deep inside he feels he's a troll coming down a mountain to play with human kids, but also terrified of the sunlight. I think we all have experienced the feeling of being different from everyone else, as if we were trolls among normal people. Per at the end chose to live an ordinary life, leaving the ambition to be extraordinary for other people to chase. 3. A sense of place. The place we are from has a huge impact on our lives. No matter how far you go in life, the environment you grew up will follow you for the rest of your life. Per rejects his family and history, but only to realize that on the inside it is the simple life that he had grown up with had shaped most of his inner self and character. 4. Kierkegaard. Søren Kierkegaard, a Danish existential philosopher, argued that our anxiety comes from our freedom of choice, which he called the dizziness of freedom. Per experiences this dizziness. Shakespeare's Hamlet, the old prince of Denmark, asks the question, to be or not to be. Per has to choose between two women, two worlds, two beliefs, and finally he withdraws from it all. Kierkegaard was engaged to a woman, but at the very last minute he broke off, saying that he wasn't marriage material, which is similar to Per's breakup with Lykke-Per. Happiness is not like a problem solution, so no matter how rationally you approach it, it's hard to find happiness through sheer work and dedication. 5. Hans Christian Andersen. Lykke-Per has a fairy tale to fill it. Per's dream is not realized, but he finds happiness nonetheless by returning to his own nest, instead of a palace or a castle in Copenhagen. It's like Cinderella marrying a poor boy from next door to live an anonymous life. 6. Napoleon Complex. As I talked in my video on Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, the idea of becoming a great man was created by the myth of Napoleon that anyone intelligent enough can change the world and shift the course of history. Raskolnikov, like Napoleon, literally murdered people in his attempt. Per, on the other hand, lives in a world with more mobility, so he doesn't have to kill anyone to become great. Also, writers of this time have read Dostoevsky, so they wanted to create characters that were different. In Knut Hamsun's Hunger, the protagonist's ambition for greatness is like madness. Dostoevsky's protagonist has a madness that is rational, at least he thinks so, while Hamsun's character tries to be morally good to the point of irrationality. Per is somewhere in the middle. Pontoppidan depicts what makes you happy rather than gives you a legacy in greatness. 7. Happiness. Success versus peace. Denmark is often claimed to be the happiest place on earth, but this cliched stereotype causes a lot of unhappiness among some Danes. Sick and tired of being called happy, so they retreat by sitting next to a candle. Denmark's answer to yoga is something called hygge, a cozy candle moment. In overcast weather, you need a candle to lighten your mood instead of the sun. This novel goes against the American way of thinking. Imagine you get to a Super Bowl and then decides, nah, not for me. As we saw in Proust's novel In Search of Lost Time, worldly success doesn't bring a lasting happiness. Per realized he was seeking inner peace, a moment of calm, an anonymous life. 8. Writing. The writing is really beautiful in the good Scandinavian tradition. The scenes are brilliantly described with so much precise and clear language. Paul Larkin's translation captures the mood and atmosphere of the scenes beautifully. I haven't read the other translation, but Larkin's translation is very readable, less academic, and has remained true to the linguistic simplicity of the Danish original. What is surprising is how come this novel was only translated in English a century after its publication in Danish. Perhaps because it's not a novel of success in the capitalist sense. It has a more Buddhist feel to it than a Western success story. Also, Pontoppidan wasn't as controversial as other Scandinavian writers, so he remains somewhat under the radar. I really enjoyed reading it. It's rare to find a novel like this that turns a hard-headed engineer into a Zen-like character who could be feeling the moment and writing haiku in the remote part of Denmark. Accepting your fate can be as heroic as an attempt to change it, as we saw in Kazuo Ishiguro's novels. Per's decision to leave it behind wasn't easy, so in that sense it was heroic. Sometimes we don't listen to the voice inside us because the societal pressure is so immense on us to perform better. Let me know what you think. Thank you, or tak skrudd hej as the Danish say.